right, hey, welcome back to FHN Northwest. We're here at the Bait Lab. Bait Labs are brought to you by Sportco and Outdoor Emporium. Everything on this table, literally, well, except for maybe the salt, can't be purchased at Sportco or Outdoor Emporium. All right, it is springer season. The weather is still cold. We actually have possible rain and snow mix in the forecast going into next Monday, Tuesday, the final week of our springer opportunity here this first part of the season. Water temperature's cold. The rivers are teeming with smelt and sea lions, so the bite has been very, very tough. Do yourself a favor, at least go after them with a plan. And by a plan, I mean have bait and items that you can count on, rely on, that are gonna get it done, entice these finicky buggers to bite. Tonight we're gonna talk about some anchovy, gonna talk about some green label herring, got some Potski's fire gel for additional scent, tuna recipe with krill. It's all here, it all works, and it's applicable to what we're trying to achieve. Tommy and I always start with harbor herring. You can't go wrong with harbor herring. Some of the very best, if not the best, anchovies and herring on the market, hands down. So let's talk about these anchovies. So one thing we know for certain about anchovies is they're a soft-bodied bait fish. The bellies like to blow out. There's some things we can do to make them a little more durable, make so they fish more durable. That way you know you're actually trolling a bait in good condition, not just wasting your time. So I start with Potski's fire brine. Typically I'll do natural fire brine on my anchovy unless I want to add a little bit of something extra. And you know, it takes very little of the Potski's blue fire brine into my natural mix to give that bait just that real slight bluing that we try to achieve. I don't like to make my baits for river fishing really dark, dark, dark blue. I like them just to have a little bit. So I will literally take a bottle of natural fire brine and I will add in, it's usually about a half cup or so of the blue. And you can see once that gets mixed in there, it's gonna add just a certain amount of light bluing to my anchovy. The other thing I like to do is I will mix in 10 to 15 drops of anise or anise, depending where you come from. I like to run anchovies with some anise scent, a little bit of bluing to them, and make them durable. The other thing you can do, the Potski's fire brine works very well, but I will also add, to again make them more durable because their bellies are soft, a quarter cup of non-iodized sea salt if you can find it, or non-iodized salt. Quarter cup into a full bottle mixture of this fire brine really toughens the anchovies up nicely, doesn't wrinkle the skin, doesn't destroy the scales on them. It makes it a firm bait. So what else can we do to ensure that they're gonna fish durable and last long? I always fish them in a Rice Davis helmet. And these are so easy to use, and I know you've seen Tommy and I have talked about them in the past. Well, it's a sliding helmet on your leader. It's a mooching rig, hooks with 2 3/0, or you can run a 4/0 at the front where it actually hooks into the fish. So pretty simple to do, okay? And it takes an extra toothpick for friction. You gotta have your pin. And simply by putting this anchovy into the helmet, first of all, I want to grab the meat of this fish where I know I'm gonna get a bend on the bait that's gonna react well in the helmet and get a really tight spin. So instead of just hooking one side of the bait or simply grabbing a little bit of flesh, I like to anchor this right below the dorsal fin, and I'm pushing that through and grabbing the entire bait. Notice where the trailer hook is, right off the tail here, okay? Now, I can slide the helmet down here. First thing I wanna do is I look in here, I see you don't have a toothpick in the friction point. So we're gonna put that toothpick in there, push it in nice and tight, and we're just gonna break that off, okay? Once that's broken, now I got friction. When I pull this leader, it's gonna hold in position really tight. So now we're gonna stuff the head of that anchovy right into the helmet. We're gonna pin it through the eyeball. It goes straight through, okay? Get that in there. Now that that is anchored and I have a good pull point and I got my friction here, I can simply pull this a little bit and I get a lot of travel out of that, and I get a good bend on that anchovy that's going to, in that helmet with the angle cut on that and a little spin, a little bend on that. That is a durable bait in a helmet. It's brined, it's tough, it's gonna spin for a long time. change them out about every 20 minutes or so just to keep fresh bait in. But that is an option for your anchovies, and I really, again, like running them a light little bit of blue with some anise. Let's talk about herring. So I got my inline rotator versus these this anchovy. I told you guys last week, I run these things on a 30-inch leader behind my 360s. I literally run them short, uptight, lots of flash, anchovy, bait, short leader, right behind my 360 out the back, okay? Whereas on my inline flashers, my triangles, this is the 10-inch by YBC, I am going to use a 52-inch leader, and I'm taking my herring, and look, you can go with the old school miter box so you get your perfect cut on there, or you can, if you do it often enough, you can lay your herring on the table. I like to get to the underside of that fin if you can, okay? And we're gonna go 45 and 45, pretty sharp knife, cut it down and put a nice edge on that herring. So either way of doing it, it's a 45-45 to get it in there, okay? Make sure we pull the guts out of this one. Now this one I pre-cut, and you can do that. You can put whole herring in your brine, you can pre-cut them and toughen that edge a little bit so it adds color, it adds toughness to that edge. Now you take your mooching rig, we're gonna go to the short side of the herring. I like to go in as far as I can before I pop that out, okay? And this hook's gonna get pushed all the way through. Now I like to put my thumb over that so as I draw that hook through, it doesn't really tear the meat, okay? This one here, this is our anchor point. I go in on shallow side to grab backbone, and I come out on the high side. Now that goes through at an angle, 45, thereby it grabs the backbone. So you don't just get the hooks ripping out through the flesh. It actually goes around the backbone and stays anchored in there. So you've got a really strong, durable pull point, which does make a difference in how long that bait is gonna fish. So things to think about, you know, the best way to figure out your pull points and if it's working or not, you cut those, you hook them up, you drop them in the water, and see how effectively and efficiently they spin. We want a real tight spin on these things. We want them going like a drill bit, and that particular cut and that pull point for me works all the time. And notice the length of that trailer hook. That's my 3/0, and it's right there at the tail for those short biters. It's out there just freely going, hoping to find its way into the mouth of that Chinook when he does decide to grab that herring. A couple other things we can do that are very beneficial. Simple tuna in the can. Now the argument is still out there. Do you use tuna in oil? Do you use tuna in water? Either or, sometimes it's what you can find. I try to use the oil. First of all, it's very reasonably priced. And yeah, I get it, the oil comes out and it floats up, but it also does get pushed down river, creating that scent trail, which is what we want. A couple cans of tuna in a small container. If you want to add some krill powder to it, you certainly can. If you want to add some liquid krill to it, you certainly can. Now, make up your tuna, just run straight tuna. I like to add krill, add a little extra scent to it, things that really smell fishy together. And that is what I'm running inside my brads, whether it's the mini cut plug or the kokanee cut plugs. Last week we talked about the efficientness of the kokanee cut plugs, much smaller bait, much smaller presentation. I think the hardest thing to do with those is to not overpack them with tuna, so watch or be mindful about how much you put in there, but a tuna and krill combination inside your cut plugs will do an amazing job. The other thing you can do with your tuna, the max lure flashers, whether it's the 360 or as I showed you last week on the inline rotator, remember these open up, right? These open up and you can actually pack your tuna right inside your flasher. And you just line it in there. Again, don't overpack it, but spread it out the length of this thing. And because of the holes and the way this thing is constructed, once you snap it together and hook that into your rig and it's spinning, that tuna is literally washing out of this 360 flasher and or this inline triangle rotator. Again, chartreuse, chrome flash, moon jelly if you have it, red. Okay, there's a combination there that works very well. So some things to think about. Another option with the fire gel. Tuna fire gel smells amazing. If you don't want to mess around with the tuna in your flashers or in your Brad's cut plugs, you can literally take some of the tuna fire gel, the herring, the anise, any and all of it. You can Put it on your flashers. You can put it on your cut plugs, inside your cut plug so it lasts. It can run literally for hours and still have an extremely strong smell of what it's designed to smell like, if it's the tuna or the herring. Coming off of your flashers, coming off of your cut plugs, it lasts, especially in the cold water. It does very well. So that is a great option. Potskie's makes about 35 different scents that you can use on flashers, spoons, your Brad cut plugs, spinners, anything you want to put it on. It lasts, it smells great, it's a nice alternative. So just some options on curing bait. Make sure they're durable, fish them, change them out every 20 minutes or so on these finicky biters, and hopefully you get out there and find some success. All right, we're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back, we'll be back in studio with Representative J.T. Wilcox and a whole host of more questions coming from you guys.